This is Gemara Menachos Daf Tzadi Hey, and we're holding on the bottom of Tzadi Dalid Amid Beis, in the middle of a discussion about the Lechem Apanim, two different shitais, exactly how the Lechem Apanim was made, the exact shape, I should say, of the Lechem Apanim. We pick it up 3 lines from the bottom, Keman Ozlaha. And again, just to remind ourselves, we'll scroll back up and we'll see in the top left corner of our screen, we'll screen the basic shape that Rashi drew of the two shitais. Rav Chanina Kmenteva Prusa, an open box. Rav Yochanan Kimin Svina Reikedes, a fast ship. So says the Gemara now, 3 lines to the bottom, Kmanaz Laha Dam Rav Yehuda. According to whom does the following statement of Rav Yehuda go? Halechem amid es asnifim. The bread supports the snifim, the props asnifim amidin es halechem. And the props support the bread. It sounds like there's a dual function going on, that one supports the other while the other supports it. So whom does that go like, says the Gemara? Kamanda Amar Kimin Svina Roikedes, like Rav Yochanan, that it's like the more pointy bottom, like you see over here in Rashi, that it needs to have the extra area to support them, or else it's not going to stand. And one supports the other, while the bread supports from the bottom. Says the Gemara, as we turn over to Tzadiyah Amid Aleph, Akasha on Rav Yochanan, Meisvei, asked the Gemara, Kimin kaveres hayolei betanor. The Brisa teaches us that when they baked lechem apanim, if you remember, there were 3 molds. There was the mold in which it was kneaded in, there was the mold in which it was baked in the oven, and then there was the mold that they put it in afterwards. Says the Gemara, the mold in which they baked it in was what? Kimin kaveres hayula. It was like a basket. V'daimin kimin tavla miruvas, and it was similar to a square tablet. So what's the kasha? This sounds exactly like Rav Chanina, not like Rav Yochanan. As Rashi points out, Zat Fusha Yanefaloi Miruba'a, square. It sounds mamish like Rav Chanina, like an open box. Sheishal Shulayim Rachavim Urubayim, square, wide shape. So it's exactly like Rav Chanina. So what does Rav Yochanan do with this brisa? Says the Gemara, Ema, let us explain. Upia daima kimintavla miruvas. Doesn't mean that the whole shape was this square-like shape. It means the pia, it means the opening was squared, but the bottom, ina chanami, according to Rav Yochanan, it's going to be more pointy, like the boat. Tanya, come on, Damar Kivinzina Reikades. So the Gemara shifts. The Gemara says, okay, now let's bring a raya. A raya to Rav Yochanan. Kimin Svina Reikedes. The Tanya we learned in a brisa, 4 lines down. Zadei Amid Aleph. Arba Sinifin Shalzav Hayusham. There were 4 props or pieces of gold there. Mefutzalim Miroshehem. Kimin Dakranim Hayu. With projections literally at the top, like branches of reeds. That watch, that these were used, that they rested. The lechem upon him, shehu daimeh, kimin sfina roikedes. Got caught up in my wires over here. Which is similar to a sfina roikedes. We have a brisa that says explicitly, like Shitas Rav Yochanan, that it's been kimin sfina roikedes. Ibayilo, asked the Gemara, lechem apanim, nifsal b'masais. Says the Brisa, lechem apanim, does it become pasul while they traveled in the midbar? Nifsal b'masais, or does it not become pasul as they travel in the midbar? The lechem, the shulchan, was carried with the lechem on it. Question is, does it become pasul? Says the Gemara, we have 2 shitas. Rav Yochanan, Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Chad Amar, one says nifsal. Chad Amar, eino nifsal. So now explains the Gemara, what are these Two opinions. Command Damar Nifsal. Where does he get that from? The Chsiv says in the Torah, Kasher Yochanu Kein Yisau. As they camp, so they'll travel. By comparing the camping to the traveling, Mabachani Yosai Nifsal B'Yotzei. Just like when the Mishkan is camped, if you take the Lechem upon him out of the Mishkan, it's going to be possible. So to have B'Nisi Asai, while they're traveling, Nifsal B'Yotzei, ostensibly it came out of the Mishkan. Well, the whole Mishkan traveled. But because we're equating it to the chaniyah, to the camping, so says the Gemara, the Yitziyah is going to be the same, will be possible. Mandamar Einoi Nifsal, according to Ali Binyan, where does he learn it from? D'chsev, v'lechem ha'tamim alav yeh, the lechem should constantly be on it. And therefore it shows us Tamid. What's Tamid? Even when you're traveling, and clearly if the Torah dictates such, it's not going to be possible. So says the Gemara, okay, let's throw that ping pong ball back. So what do we do with the second sheet that holds it's not possible? What does he do with the apostle that says kasher yichanu? Kain yiso. Says the Gemara, what does he explain? Ledach Yisa. He says it the other way. Just like when they're encamped, if you don't take it out of its place, if it sits there, it doesn't become basal. Meaning the whole Mishkan is traveling, and therefore this is not considered to be yatsa mimikaimi. V'dachnami, so the Gemara throws the ball back. According to the other opinion, what does he do with the dictum that the lechem should always be on it? Elo ki yazer avdi amar b'misudar. If it is arranged, if it's on the shulchan itself while they're traveling, then the kulyam loy pligi, there is no machlokes. Aliki pligi, what's the machlokes? B'misulak. When the shulchan is removed before they start traveling, that is the shayla. Man damar nivsal. According to the opinion that says it's possible. Why? D'chsev kasher yichanu kein yiso ma v'chani yasa. Just like when they're in camp, nivsal b'yotzei, it's possible if it goes out. Avnisi yasai. So to other traveling, nivsal b'yotzei. And the other opinion, man damar einu nivsal. Why? D'chsev nasa oyel moyid. And he should travel with the oil moed shall travel, tells me, Afal bishen asa, even though it's traveling right now, oil moed, who it still has a din of an oil moed, and therefore, even though the lechem upon him is indeed removed from the shulchan before they start traveling, it's not considered to have been yatsa, and therefore it is not possible. V'dachnami, and according to the opinion that says it's kosher, says the Mark Sim Keshe Chanu Kin Yiso. Well, how does he translate that? Says the Gemara, Lidach Yisa. He flips it around. I mean, you always could equate the Chaniya to the Yitzi or the Yitziyah to the Chaniya. So he flips it around. Now what? Just like while they're encamping, if you don't remove it, it doesn't become puzzle. So what does he do with the fact that it seemingly indicates that while the oil moed is traveling, there can't be any problems? Says the Gemara, that teaches us about the degalim, that those are going to be allowed, and that's going to be what we learn out from the pasuk Vedach. And according to the other opinion, that says that Almighty has a din Almighty, even when they're traveling, what does he know? That it's carried together with the degalim. He learns it out from a different pasuk. So we have the machlekes of Yechon, Shum, and Levi. We have the machlekes of Yechon, Shum, and Levi, and we have two different ways now of explaining what the machlekes is. The second way of explaining it, this Rav Dimi, is lechem abanim. The first way was lechem hapanim that was removed before they started traveling. Does that make it possible or not? One more time. The second way, does it make it possible or not? Meisvei, this is the again, let's just go up and get clarity over here. Ki asa Rav Dimi, we'll highlight this a little bit darker. One moment. Ki asa Rav Dimi amar b'misudar d'klam lei pligi. Ki pligi b'misulak. So we're asking a kasha on the shita right now. So meisvei b'shasilik masai is kachim nifsalim. Says the Brisa, the time of the removal of the Mishkan, as they prepare for the Masais, Kachim nifsalim b'yaitze. Kachim are possible when they take it out. V'zavin ha'mitzayra mishtalchen chutz t'mechitzasan. And a zavin ha'mitzayra is sent outside of the mechitza. My love, says the Gemara, afilu lechem hapanim. Seemingly is refers to lechem hapanim. That what? During the Masais, the lechem hapanim has a psul yaitze. Says the Gemara, loy bar mi lechem hapanim. Manav shach. Frag the Gemara. 1 second. Something here has to give. I oyel moyit dafko. Then what? Afilu kachem nami. If the Almighty is dafka, then even the kachim should not be possible when they are traveling. And the Almighty lav dafka v'lechem hapanim. Nami, Lachmanim should yes become possible. So how can we split? How can we say the din of the Lechem Hapanim is different than the regular din of the Karbanis Klape, the Masais, Ella? Says the Gemara lines from the white lines. First one line is Hapanim Nami, Ella Kiyasa Ravin Amramar. Rather, Ravin comes Amar, Maramar Mimisodar, Maramar Mimisolok. V'loi pligi. Says Ravin, I'll explain to you what's going on over here. One is learning Lechem Hapanim was on the Shulchan while they were traveling. The other one holds Lechem Hapanim was not on the Shulchan while they were traveling. V'loi pligi. If it's on the Shulchan, everyone will agree it's kosher. If it's removed, everyone's going to agree that it's going to be pasul. Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, let's go a little bit deeper. We just mentioned the halacha of the kachim, the din of the karbanos, different kachim, as it pertains to the traveling of the Mishkan. So Amar Abaye Shmamina, says Abaye, we can learn from the Brisa that we just quoted. Yesh siluk masais balayla. We learn that you're able to start traveling. The Mishkan was allowed to start a masa, start a travel when? Afilu balayla. Says the Gemara. If you're going to tell me, if you're going to tell me that is not possible, Emas, if that's not possible, Madli, then when would they put away the different yeriyos of the Mishkan? When were they put away? L'safra, ma'ariya, misham yaitse, tepikle, difsale balina. If you're going to tell me that the kachim becomes possible when they leave, why? Tepikle, difsale balina. It should be that it's left overnight. So if the Brisa says it's a psul yaitse, it shows us that lina clearly is not the paslos, and therefore, says the Gemara, so therefore it must be that the traveling, the taking part, the taking down the different yeriyos, etc., must be able to be done by nacht, it's even able to be done by laila. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Pshita. Leleches yoimam ve'laila ksiv. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. The pasuk state what? Leleches yoimam ve'laila. The pasuk is explicit that they travel by day and by night. So you're coming to tell me against a brisa, Abaye proving to me the psul shows me they travel by night. It's a pasuk in the Torah. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you what. I would have thought, Ani Mili, that was only Echad to Akar Biyamama. That maybe only when they started traveling by day, then they continue Leleches Yoimam, they can continue by Laila. But maybe where they didn't start by day, on the first white line, maybe you're not able to start a journey by night. Kamash Malan, they even able to start a journey at night. Ask the Gemara, I'll tell you a steer of Remenu, Galalu Aparaiches. Once the Brechas is rolled up, the Zavim and the Meseirayim are allowed to enter in. It doesn't have a din of the Mishkan. So frak the Gemara, but this is a stira, as the previous brisa taught us. The previous brisa taught us that the Zavim and the Tzeiraim had to be mechutz l'machaneh even while they traveled. Says Gemara, Ravashi l'kasha, Amar Ravashi l'kasha, Harab Eliezer, Harab Hanan. The Tanya, we learned in our brisa as we turn over to Tzadihei Midbeis, Rav Eliezer Aimer Yachal Dachai Kuzavenu Mitzayrain. V'nichnazu Azara b'Pesach Haba b'Toma. I would think that Zavan and Tzayrain pushed their way in. They went into the Beis HaMikdash in a case where Rav Klaiso was Tameh, and therefore the carbon Pesach is brought to B'Toma. So I would think such a scenario, the Zavim and the Mitzayraim can even enter. I would think if such a case was that the Zavim and the Mitzayraim pushed their way in, that what? I would think Yechayav Nishvichayiv. Talmud says the Torah V'Yishalchu Min HaMachaneh Kol Tzarua V'Chol Zav V'Chol Dam Nefesh, which teaches us B'Shah Shetimoi Shetimei Mesim Mishtalchem, when the Tamei Mesim were sent out, Zavim Mitzrayim Mishtalchem, the Zavin and the Mitzrayim are going to be sent out as well. I don't know what happened here. A little bit of a wild, line across the side. Tamei Mesim Mishtalchem, Ein Tamei Mesim Mishtalchem, Ein Zavim Mitzrayim Mishtalchem. So that's going to be the Machlekes. That's going to explain the stira in the Brisa. Says the Mishnah, Achas shtei alechem, v'achas lechem apanim. Lishasan, they're kneading, varichasan, and they're preparing bachotz, is done outside of the chatzer. V'afiyasan, but their baking is bifnim. Ve'enan doichai, says a Shabbos, they are not doichai Shabbos. Rav Yehuda Omer, kol ma'aseh bifnim. Zok Rav Yehuda nein, all the preparations have to be done inside. Rav Shimon Omer, they would say that they could do it either ba'azara or in Beis Pagi. So three different shitais where the different parts of lechem apanim and the shtei lechem were prepared. Says the Gemara, Gufa Kasha. The first line in the Mishnah is Shver Amrit Yutamili Shatzvar Chazon Bachotz Alma Midas Yavesh Leniskachu. So we see that the Midas Yavesh, the Kli for salads, is not Kadosh, and therefore the contents will not have Kedusha, and that's the reason why it's able to be done. Bachotz Vaviyasan bifnim, and they're baked inside. Why are they baked inside if not for the fact that they have kedusha? So it's a stira. Is it yeah or no? Amar Rabba Hukshu Adam, says Rabba Hukshu Adam kashehu kasha kebarzel. This question was hard like an iron. Umanu, and who asked this kasha? Rav Shesha. Says the Gemara, my kasha. What's so shver? Tell me Yisarain. Loi mekadesh, but tanor mekadesh. I don't understand what your problem is. Maybe the midah that it's mixed in, that is not kadosh, but the oven is kadosh, and that's the reason why it has to be baked bifnim. Eli kasha bo, if it's shver ha kasha. I'll tell you what is shver. It said in the brayz v'yasam bifnim, and the baking inside amatanor mekadesh. Ve'in doichos the Shabbos. But if that is true, what is shver? If sila belina, it should be pasal belina. If it has kedusha and it's left till the next morning, it should have a psal lina. Says the Gemara, Elamarava, Hokshu Adam, Kashu Kibarzel. It's a Gvaldiga Kasha, Umana Rav Sheshis. Amr Rav Ashi, my kusha nachama, what's so shver? Telma, my bifnim. What does it mean, bifnim? It means b'makoim's reason. Means in a location of those who are zaris, meaning that it has to be baked by the kayanim. However, it's not telling me inside or outside, it just means it has to be baked by the kayanim. And says the Gemara, but guess what? Under Rav Ashi, Barusi is a mistake. Manavshach. Iafia binan's reason, lisharichanami binan's reason. Ili sharicha le binan's reason, afianami le binan's reason. I love Rav Ashi, Barusi. This is not a hair that could be split. We'll stop over here. Pick it up from Rav Yehuda the next year. B'siyata dishmaya.